The old bear's gifts for the princess. I'm totally blanking on that story.
Alright.
What did he give her again?
Why don't we open up the book and check?
Fresh caught salmon? Wait. Some honey? Or not? Hazelnuts? Wait.
Once upon a time, in the ancient deep forest, the old bear stood on the bank of the river, swiping at salmon on their way to the spawning ground. Just as he'd gotten his paw on a particularly fat one, he heard a woman shouting for help. He considered simply eating his salmon, but then she screamed again, and he lumbered over to investigate. After a short walk, he found the princess clinging to the top of the tree, while the wolf snarled and snapped at the base of the tree. Old Bear would normally not get in the middle of such a situation. After all, as a fellow predator, he understood the wolf's need to hunt. But when he saw the princess, he was struck by her beauty, and he knew he had to help. With a great roar, the bear heaved onto its hind legs, rising to its full height. The wolf snapped and snarled in his direction. The bear roared again, and the wolf took off into the trees, tail between his legs. The old bear fell back down and onto all fours, stared at the princess. She regarded him fearfully. "You can come down," he said. "How do I know you didn't save me just so you could eat me yourself?" asked the princess. "Suppose that is a fair question," admitted the old bear, "but I promise I won't eat you." The princess had no reason to trust the old bear, except that he had kind eyes. And so she slowly made her way down the tree. When she reached the ground, the bear only watched her, until she supposed she was not going to be eaten today. "Thank you," she told the old bear. "Of course," he said. "Can I walk with you back to your home?" "Of course," said the princess. And so the princess and the old bear walked together through the forest back to the big one house. After that day, the princess would occasionally find gifts from the bear: a fresh-caught salmon, a handful of ripe berries, a newly bloomed bluebell. One spring. Okay, so we got salmon, ripe berries, and bluebell first. So we have salmon.
Fresh caught salmon? Hazelnuts? Wait. A newly bloomed bluebell? Or not?
Where's the berries?
Some roses, maybe? Wait. A handful of ripe berries? A newly bloomed bluebell?
Yes!
Man, he had it bad. Just couldn't let go.
Sorry for the note on the door like a prison inmate. You okay? I stopped by a couple of times this week, but you didn't answer. I could see the light in the hayloft, so I figured you were in, but didn't want to talk. I hope I didn't ruin everything. I know I probably came on kind of strong, but the thing is, I don't know how to talk to a woman like you. You're strong and kind, and you always know so much, and you know so much it's hard for me to know how to keep up. I guess all that went to my head, but I want you to know I got the message, and I'm gonna get out of your hair now. And there doesn't need to be any bad feelings. We can pass in the street and say hello or not. It's okay. P.S. I noticed your car was leaking, so I put some sealant in there. I wanted to take it to the shop, though. Let me know if you want me to come with you, because sometimes these guys try to rip you off. If not, no big deal, Sam.
The crafty goblin's loot.
That's from the princess and the two thieves.
Once upon a time, in an ancient deep forest, there lived a wise princess in a big wooden house. The house was built from the strong wood of the forest, and it kept the princess warm and safe. The princess was not a native of the forest. She never spoke about where she came from, for it made her cry. She did not have many friends, but that was how she liked it. The forest was big and deep, and many paths led to our house, but not many visitors passed by. Princess was happy to be left alone in the big house in the deep forest. She knew that the forest would provide for her, but that its generosity had to be respected. So she only took what she needed. And for a long time, life was just fine for the princess in the big wooden house. One winter day, with snow blanketed the earth and ice bent the trees low, the wise princess realized that the food was disappearing from her house. It was not much at first, only a few fruits and nuts and eggs vanishing during the night. Alright.
I drew the original.
And I distinctly remember drawing that cake, which is arguably the best part of that illustration.
All right, Picasso. And you probably remember what the goblins stole in that story, huh?
Maybe they took some of the princess's fruit? Some flour for the cake, maybe?
No.
Actually, I'm not sure. I'm pretty sure they stole some eggs. Didn't they take some of the princess's clothes? Wait.
Fruits, nuts, and eggs. Okay. Maybe it's the birds. Or the mice. And for a time, the princess was okay with losing some food for the winter. And long and little creatures needed to eat too. But then, small items started to disappear as well. Spoon and plates, fork and knives, and blankets. It was as if every time she was in one part of the house, something disappeared in another. This can't be birds or mice. I think I have a thief. So there we have.
What if they took some spoons? That's it. I always wondered where that drawing went. She said it was her favorite, and then one day it just disappeared.
Oh. I'm not crying, you're crying.
The very old beaver's repair list.
That's the story where the princess's house gets damaged by a storm and the animal...
She fixed the roof shingles. She fixed the planks that were blown off the walls. She slapped the post with... All right. Damn. That must have been rough on Eddie.
Yeah, he doesn't really like to talk about her.
Dan, you cover your ears every time I try to have this conversation with you, so I thought I had a better chance doing this in later. I know you don't like saying goodbye, so I'll keep my melancholic rambling short and sweet. I want to thank you with all my heart for taking care of me these past few months. I can't even imagine how exhausting it must have been for you to look after a sick old lady when you also have 2 small children at home. I know you want me to keep fighting this disease in hope of being full recovery, but it's always been a great strength of mine to know when it's time to let go, and that time has come. I'd like to ask you for one last favor. Please take care of Eddie after I'm gone. My poor boy puts on a brave face ever since his father died. I know he's in pain. I would be so much more at peace knowing he still has family. Maybe he could teach the kids how to fish. He loves spending time with them. Thank you for the warmth and the peace you brought to my life. Give the kids a kiss for me, will you, Carol? Oh. Carol died.
The crafty goblin's good deeds.
Of course, the goblins had to help out the creatures of the forest to pay off their debt to the pelican.
Well, what did they do?
You know, I don't really remember.
Drop the beehive, help, scratch, feed. Remove the one. Pelican forgives. Once upon a time, in a deep and ancient forest, there lived a pair of crafty goblins in a cave below a big wooden house. They lived with a wise princess, who shared as much food with them as she was able, but it was never quite enough. Oh. This left the goblins hungry. Very hungry. Always hungry. One day... Oh. It's so sad. One day, as they were foraging for food, the pious pelican landed on a rock and dumped a smorgasbord from her beak, which the goblins knew was magic and never emptied. There were king crabs in red, blue, and gold and scarlet. Viney blue shrimp, pink shelled scallops, oblong brown clams, purple spiny urchins, and even one prickly red sea cucumber. The food just kept coming. They watched as the pelican ate one clam and then took a nap. "Do you think she would mind if we just took a little?" asked one goblin to the other. "Her beak never empties. She wouldn't possibly miss a couple of crabs," said the second, licking her lips. They were agreed, so they crept over, flinched some crabs, and ran. The goblins scoffed the crabs, but when they finished, they found that they were still hungry. "She won't miss a handful of shrimp," said one goblin to the other. The goblins scoffed the shrimp, but when they finished, they found that they were still hungry. "Maybe also a few scallops?" said one goblin to the other. The goblins scoffed the scallops. When they were finished, they found that they were still hungry. So they went back for the clams, and then urchins, and finally, even the sea cucumber. Finally, they were not hungry, but there was also nothing left. Just then, the pelican woke up. "What happened to my food?" she asked, unable to lie about it. The goblins confessed the crime. The pelican was dismayed, but she was a charitable-hearted bird. She could tell the crafty goblins were growing little creatures. "Goblins," said the pious pelican, "I will share my food with you, but you must in return follow my example and be as generous with others as I am with you. Take that to heart, now I have considered your debt paid." "But we have nothing to give," said the goblins. "You have your nimble hands, and your crafty brains, and your loving heart," said the pelican. The crafty goblins realized how much they had to give, and for the rest of the day they looked forward. They looked for ways to help the other creatures of the forest. They found the Stuart moose struggling with an itchy head hard to reach spot on his back, so they climbed up and gave it a good scratching. Next, they helped the old bear, who could not get the honey out of a narrow beehive, climbed up to the top of the tree with the hive, and then dropped it, cracking it open. Finally, they found the princess, crying over a loss she would not speak about. So they wrapped their little arms around her in a great big hug, and stayed until she felt better. When they were done, they returned to the pious pelican. "Did it feel good, being as generous as I am?" "It did," said the goblins. "I'm glad," said the pelican. "We all have problems that we can't solve on our own, and if everyone goes about with generosity in their hearts, then there's always someone on hand to help. But we all must commit to do so, or there may be no one to help when you need it." This made sense for the goblins, and they thanked the pious pelican for her food and the lesson. Of course, by this time they were hungry again, and that remained an ongoing problem until this day. The Stuart moose taught them to fish, but that is another story. So it was scratched,
They gave the stalwart moose a good scratch on the back.
dropped
They
the
broke
honey.
open the beehive for the bear. They hugged the princess when she was crying. Nailed it. Our lives would have been so different if their friendship hadn't gone to shit.
The Pelican Crossing is a specialty gift boutique located near O'Shea's Glacier, catering to tourists, tourists as well as road crossing locals. We specialize in the assortment of high-quality products from home accessories, handmade souvenirs, to personalized apparel, and locally made art. The Pelican Crossing will be the first to act as relay between the buzzing arts and crafts scene and customers. In addition to the wide array of novelty handcrafted products, the consumer will enjoy friendly and knowledgeable customer service from Vici store co-owner Tessa Vecchi and up-and-coming artist Marianne Ronan. This business plan is prepared to obtain financial to the amount of $2,000 to purchase inventory and to help cover expenses of the first year. Plans to break even, and in year 2 we plan to generate a moderate profit. Looking on the executive summary part of our business plan, what do you think? That's everything.
I wish she just explained all this to us.
Yeah, but this is fun.
sure we've seen everything?
Yeah.
Either way, I'm ready for this to be over.
Me too.
This is Leo.
This is the spot.
I can't believe he's been down there this whole time. We played Compass and North Star here. I wish she would have just told us.
She tried.
She tried to tell us. In her own Marianne kind of way.
The stories. Yeah. What are you thinking?
That we just found out we have a brother, and at the same time that we'll never get to meet him. It's a lot to process.
Poor Marianne. Come on. Let's keep going.
Yeah, okay. Pretty sure it's not legal to bury her. Bury a kid on the porch, but whatever. Come on, gotta remember. Oh god. Not gonna ruin my drink.
Almost.
Oh my god, no.
Tom Vecchi is our father?
Of course. It had to be him.
Tessa knew, didn't she?
Yeah, she must have. That's what she didn't want to tell us.
God, Marianne and Tom?
I know.
What should we do now?
Oh god.
Call him out here and make him tell us what was going on.
And if he won't?
We know his secret. He will. Tom? It's Alyson. We need to talk. We know it was you.
Holy shit. You've been working for your dad. Well, I mean, you know, every other man in the town wasn't it?